Klaus Schwab is here. He is the founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum. The organization holds conferences with global leaders all over the world, including the closely watched gathering in Davos, Switzerland, each January. Schwab created the World Economic Forum, as it's referred to, in 1971 with the mission of improving the state of the world, mastering the fourth industrial revolution.
When we look at the world today, we see governments and even business very much engaged in mastering the crisis of today, very much absorbed by crisis management. Right. But if you look into the future, there's so much going on in technology. Yeah. It's a real revolution, and our life, the pattern of governing societies will be so much affected with what's going on in research, in innovation, and we are not sufficiently prepared for it.
So look at things like gene editing.
Exactly.
You know, opening a whole new horizon for medical science.
And you see, the difference of this fourth industrial revolution is it doesn't change what you are doing, it changes you. If you take genetic editing, right. Just as an example, it's you who are changed. Yeah. And of course this has a big impact on your identity. Yeah.
And offers certain kinds of possibilities that have to be careful about. You know, when you began to do that kind of gene editing, some people worry that you are changing what it means to be human.
That's the problem. Of course, the new industrial revolution offers us many opportunities, but it raises manifold questions on the ethical, but even legal implications. And we have to be prepared for it, and that's what we want to do in Davos next year.
There's also going to be a need for a new governmental structure, new rules, new regulations, a whole new structure.
What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order, where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind: peace and security, freedom, and the rule of law.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order.
After 1989, President Bush said, and it's a phrase that I often use myself, that we needed a new world order.
So that the problem of the Bush presidency will be the emergence of a new international order.
Within the next 4 years, we will see the emergence of a new international order.
The beginning of a new international order.
Well, DHS says this new terrorism advisory is not based on any actual threats or plots, but it says there's a rise in anti-government rhetoric. Some of it is opposition to COVID public health rules like mask and vaccine measures.
We are now facing a common challenge. And the challenge is how to build a world order for the first time in history on a global basis.
So, in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, a new world is emerging. It is a new world order with significantly different and radically new challenges.
And the president outlined his vision of a new world order in which the US would participate fully.
I love it so much. They also created the Great Seal of the United States. And that Great Seal of the United States has on it Novus Order Seclorum, a new order for the centuries, for the ages, forever.
The affirmative task we have now is to actually create a new world order.
You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us? Not much, because it's a secret. Now, much has been said by the Secretary of State and others about the New World Order.
But in a globalized economy, we are going to have to take global responsibilities, and there is going to have to be some semblance of global governance.
Is this global governance at last? Is it one world? The central bankers in charge. But aren't we all just living and dying for what the central banks do?
Of course we are. We are absolutely slaves to central banks.
First, we Americans are going to have to yield up some of our sovereignty. That's going to be, to many, a bitter pill. Today, we must develop federal structures on a global level to deal with world problems. We need a system of enforceable world law, a democratic federal world government, a world where the overwhelming majority of national leaders will consistently abide by the rule of world law. Pat Robertson has written in a book a few years ago that we should have a world government, but only when the Messiah arrives. He wrote, literally, any attempt to achieve world order before that time must be the work of the devil. Well, join me. I'm glad to sit here at the right hand of Satan.
Your class has an incredible window of opportunity to lead in shaping a new world order for the 21st century.
We will be looking at what contact tracing looks like in the New World Order.
And now is a time when things are shifting. There's going to be a new world order out there. And we've got to lead it. And we've got to unite the rest of the free world in doing it. When it comes to the gas prices, we're going through an incredible transition that is taking place that, God willing, when it's over, will be stronger and the world will be stronger and less reliant on fossil fuels when this is over.
And the title of this session, are we ready for a new world order?
A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
This is a plan that was agreed to by 179 nations. It's called the Agenda for the 21st Century. It's a totalitarian state being developed right now all over the world. It is the inventory and control plan. Inventory and control of all land, all water, all minerals, all plants, all animals, all construction, all means of production, all food, all energy, all information, and all human beings in the world. And this is a plan that was agreed to by 179 nations back in 1992. It's a United Nations plan. It's called the Agenda for the 21st Century. And so many of us around the world think that well, sustainable development, it just sounds so great. Isn't it about recycling and creative reuse and creating energy and food resources for everyone? And the answer is no, it really is not. It's about moving populations into city centers, concentrated city centers, and clearing them out of the rural areas. all systems have to be brought into harmony in order to control them all. Because when systems don't meet, when they're out of balance or not in sync with one another, they can't be controlled centrally. And the goal of Agenda 21 is one world government and total control from a central unit. Every nation that signed on to Agenda 21 has its local Agenda 21 plan. People in the United States are completely unaware of this. If I go out and talk about this, the United States press attacks me and calls me, which is totally ridiculous. It is but it's not a theory. It's a fact. The three pillars of United Nations Agenda 21 are economy, ecology, and equity, the 3 E's. And everyone sort of thinks that they know what that means, the idea of social equity. It must mean that, well, everyone's going to have access to clean water and clean air, and no one's property is going to be used as a dumping ground because they are at a poverty level. But really what social equity is about impoverishing huge portions of the population and bringing down the developed nations. Everything that we're looking at now is destined to collapse our economies. It's a totalitarian state being developed right now all over the world. And what major corporations want in this development is to be able to have full movement of workers without borders or boundaries, to be able to move their goods through without regulations, and to reduce wages. And so this is the goal. So this is what you find with social equity. And of course, economy and ecology is about, these are the 3 circles: economy, ecology, and social equity. And where they meet in the center is balance. But really that balance is a communitarian balance. So it's not balance of well-being of the people. What it is it's a balance for corporations so that they can exploit and control and have populations in an area, in tightly packed, dense areas, so that they can be surveilled and managed. And this is what that balance looks like as far as the development of a totalitarian state.
Radio communication turned its first page when Marconi transmitted the first radio signal across the Atlantic. With the endless frontiers of wireless, spanning 5G, we start wondering what 6G would be like. 6G will serve as a distributed neural network for future intelligence of everything. Network sensing and native AI will become 2 new usage scenarios to fuse the physical, biological, and cyber worlds, leading to an era of connected intelligence. 6G will provide universal high-performance wireless connections with speed comparable to optical fibers. Terabits per second peak data rate, up to 100 gigabits per second user experience rate, and sub-millisecond level transmission latency will enable truly immersive human-centric experience. Further integrating terrestrial and non-terrestrial networks. We can see, touch, smell, and play with family and friends from thousands of miles away. Even in the sky. Or in outer space. 6G will accelerate full-scale digital transformation of vertical industries. In future automated and flexible manufacturing, precise localization and deterministic communication will be provided to support real-time interaction between collaborative robots. Every thinking of network architecture is also considered necessary to enable massive machine learning and knowledge sharing among robots. 6G will continue the journey of connected everything initiated in 5G, but with larger variety of devices, new human-machine interfaces, higher density of connections, and native trustworthiness. 6G will integrate sensing with communication in a single system. Radio waves can be exploited to see the physical world and make digital twins in the cyber world. Such capability offers autonomous driving vehicles ultra-high resolution and accuracy in all weather conditions. What's more, High-precision localization and gesture recognition will truly free our hands and make art creation anywhere, anytime. 6G will boast its native AI capability. Deep Edge architecture enables massive machine learning in a distributed and collaborated manner. Robots can thus harmoniously work and play with humans. Meanwhile, end-to-end machine learning will also be leveraged for customized optimization and network automation. 6G is the next horizon of innovations. The ambition of our 6G vision is to make our planet intelligently connected, sustainably developed, better protected, and full of vitality in all walks of life. 6G, the next horizon, from connected people and things to connected intelligence.
Third, and my third and final point, in what could be called the grand alignment, the PRC has successfully pushed for a recognition at the UN of the purported alignment and synergies between the BRI and the UN's Human Rights-Based 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, which features the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which all countries have signed on to and are supposed to complete by 2030. And also as part of this
This afternoon, the Secretary General and Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum, will witness the signing of a memorandum of understanding on a strategic partnership between the UN and the World Economic Forum, which outlines areas of cooperation to deepen engagement between the two institutions and to jointly accelerate the implementation of the 2030 Agenda.
Still have a lot of work to do. We need to pick a new set of goals to help us stay focused on improving the lives of children. Next year, the world will discuss what that next set of goals should be. It's a huge opportunity to pick the priorities for 2015 to 2030. I'm interested in what you think our priorities for the poor should be for this 15-year period. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. That's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
have to apply now on a global level. As long as not everybody is vaccinated, nobody will be safe.
Since you are able to edit out all the stuff you don't like, I can speak honestly. I don't expect that we're going to avoid collapse. Some huge volcano could blow up tomorrow in Indonesia, which reduces the agricultural output of the planet by 40 or 50% for 5 years. How do we know that could happen? It has happened several times in the past. So usually speaking, something which happened in the past could happen again, generally. So that could happen, or epidemics. I mean, I don't know what it will be, but in one way or another, we are so far, globally, we are so far above the population and the consumption levels which can be supported by this planet that I know in one way or another it's going to come back down. So I don't hope to avoid that. I hope that it can occur in a civil way, and I mean civil in a special way, peaceful. Peace doesn't mean that everybody's happy, but it means that conflict isn't solved through violence, through force, but rather in other ways, or epidemics. I mean, I don't...
The global pandemic.
And so that's what I hope for. That we can, I mean, the planet can support something like 1 billion people, maybe 2 billion, depending on how much liberty and how much material consumption you want to have. If you want more liberty and more consumption, you have to have fewer people. And conversely, you can have more people. I mean, we could even have 8 or 9 billion probably if we have a very strong dictatorship, which is smart. It's, unfortunately, you never have smart dictatorships. They're always stupid. So, but if you had a smart dictatorship and a low standard of living, you can have it. But we want to have freedom and we want to have a high sentence, so we're going to have 1 billion people. And we're now at 7, so we have to get back down. I hope that this can be slow, relatively slow, and that it can be done in a way which is relatively equal.
In searching for a new enemy to unite us, we came up with the idea that pollution, the threat of global warming, water shortages, famine, and the like would fit the bill. In their totality and in their interactions, these phenomena do constitute a common threat which demands the solidarity of all peoples. But in designating them as the enemy, we fall into the trap about which we have already warned, namely mistaking symptoms for causes. All these dangers are caused by human intervention, and it is only through changed attitudes and behavior that they can be overcome. The real enemy, then, is humanity itself.
This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset. This is our chance to accelerate our pre-pandemic efforts to reimagine economic systems that actually address global challenges like extreme poverty, inequality, and climate change.
We need a great reset.
With all the current issues on our agenda, we tend to forget that we are in the midst of the 4th industrial revolution, which accelerates global change in much more comprehensive and faster ways than the previous 3 revolutions. History is truly at a turning point. We do not yet know the full extent and the systemic and structural changes which will happen. However, we do know that global energy systems, food systems, and supply chains will be deeply affected. I wish you an impactful and successful meeting.